Welcome to Renovation Conversations, the podcast where we explore how God is rebuilding lives, restoring hope, and renewing faith. Whether you're just starting your spiritual journey or looking for inspiration to keep growing, this is the place for honest discussions, transformative stories, and practical biblical insights. Let's dive into what it means to live a life under renovation, because God's not done with us yet.
Well, welcome to this week's episode of Renovation Conversations. Pastor Hayden over there. I'm Pastor Dustin. And we both preached this week, but not together this time.
Not together this time. We were split up this time.
He was over in Norwood, and I was in Mansfield.
Yep.
And so I was preaching on a part that really just kind of, it's been on my mind a lot lately, and it's about relationship and religion. Because a lot of people say, and I'm guilty of saying it in the past too, I'm trying to get away from that mindset, that it's about relationship and not religion, because it's about both.
Yeah, right.
And I think that, I'm not sure where that philosophy came from. It's about relationship, not religion. Because I think, and I get they're trying to say it's about a relationship with Christ, and that's the centerpiece of it. And it is the centerpiece of it. But the religion follows.
Yeah, it's a big part of it.
It follows the obedience.
Yeah, and I think what people get hung up on is, we think about, to me, and it goes, well, people probably go all different directions. I go Sadducee, Pharisee when you say religion, because I studying the word so much. Some people may go towards like the Catholic faith, where it's very religious based, very piety. You got
and lacking relationship.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
And so, I think that's probably why it's kind of been separated when it really shouldn't be. Is because of those reasons, both biblically and just the world we live in.
Yeah, trying to build walls where we don't need to build walls.
Yeah.
We just need to be mindful of how we're doing things.
Yeah, for sure.
And so you were in Matthew,
I was in Matthew
a little bit?
6 about fasting. So Pastor Tucker was, it was in 6, so he just got through the Sermon on the Mount, and he finished up there with how to pray, basically. And then I was in the fasting, so I was 16 through 18 is all I hit was those 3. And, what hit me when studying that was it wasn't, and I had a lot of good comments after service from people there about fasting and about the service and stuff. And, it hit me hard too, because I'm not good at it.
Right.
And Jesus says in verse 16, whenever you fast, not if you want to fast, or if you should fast, or or
if you get time, make it happen. Yeah,
it was like, you're going to do this.
There's an expectation.
Yeah, there's an expectation built in there. So that's kind of where we went yesterday at Norwood with fasting, and it was a good day. It really was.
And to me, they do go together, because whenever I'm looking at religion, the way Christ would have us look at religion, there's expectations he wants inside of that walk. Mm-hmm. Loving others as we love ourselves. Yeah. After loving God, first and foremost.
Right.
And then obviously fasting is one that he expects us to do. Communion, he expects us to do that. He there is an expectation of baptism in our walk.
Right.
I think that if we don't think there's an expectation in that, we really not that gets you to heaven, right? But there's an expectation in it.
Yep. Yeah. And we've talked about this a few times in the Bible. They were getting saved and baptized right then, and if people want to do that at our church, we'll do it. I mean, we'll do it right then. We'll figure it out.
We'll make it happen one way or the other.
But I think it's okay to wait and do it too.
Yeah.
But I do believe, like you said, it's something we should follow through with. It's part of it. It doesn't save you, but absolutely, it's what you should do.
Yeah, and so those things that's just some of the things that are encompassing in the religion aspect in my mind, and I love the idea of fasting. We were talking about it not too long ago. I tried to fast once a week, and then I got away from it for a little while. And it's funny how fast you can get away from it, and you're like, oh, a month and a half, 2 months later, you're like, wow, right. I haven't done it for a while.
Yeah, just like anything, if you get away from it, you just keep going the other direction, seems like. It's hard to pull yourself back in. And that goes, if you're reading into that, where we got to in fasting, he lays out 3 spiritual doctrines right there: giving to the poor, then prayer, then fasting. Yeah. And in any of those things, your prayer life, if you don't stick with it, you'll start going the other way.
And sincerity in all of those things. Yeah. matters. Like if you're just giving to the poor just because like I want to get noticed,
right? Exactly. Well, same.
Terrible.
it goes right with the same things he said about fasting. If you're doing it for a show, don't even mess with it.
Right.
And that's exactly what was laid out there about all these. Same way with prayer. Think about prayer. Don't stand on the corner and say it out.
Yeah, to
like
try to be like something better than everybody else.
Yeah, and once again, it goes back to your sermon too, the religion versus relationship. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people see that as, hey, look at me, and that equals religion.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The stuff Jesus said don't do.
Yeah.
Because it was the Sadducees and Pharisees were the ones, Pharisees mainly. The Pharisees were the ones doing these things, and we associate that with that religion.
Yes, and now we see in American culture, we see certain denominations maybe or certain sections of religions, and we look at that and we're like, well, we don't want to be like that,
right?
So it's like we try to escape from the religion mindset. When I don't think that's the mindset we're supposed to have. We're supposed to have, is our religion that we're in right? Mm-hmm. And our religion should be first, relationship with Jesus Christ. Second, loving others like we love ourselves. And, third, we need to be in this book studying how to avoid the things we need to avoid and find ourselves in the places we need to find ourselves.
Yeah, that's the important part. Yeah, it's important to, you talk about that we need both the relationship and religion because honestly, that coming together is so important. It seems like we both have had multiple messages in the last year about how important community is.
Yes.
Like togetherness. And not just that, but we need each other to call each other out on the way we, interpreting scripture, not doing the things we're supposed to do, all these things.
Yes.
And really that would fall under that religion, that togetherness that we're called to do.
Our religion is very much should be our lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So when we think of religion, we should think lifestyle. Those words could be interchangeable.
Yeah.
In that aspect, and so when I'm looking at what I was looking at when I was going through and when I was in James 1, 26, 27, it's talking about if anyone thinks himself to be religious, it does not bridle his tongue, but deceives his own heart, which following your heart is a mess. Mm-hmm. This man's religion is worthless. And James is. I think we discount James too much. Like James of all the people that wrote books in the Bible. Yeah. Like James is the half brother of Jesus.
Right. Yeah.
he grew up in the home with him. He watched him. I mean, James is the second among, there's 4 boys. I don't remember how many girls there are. I don't know if it tells us.
I'm not sure
off the top of my head.
Yeah. I'd have to, I wouldn't want to say, but yeah.
Yeah. I know there's 4 boys, but James is the second born. Mm-hmm. So he's the closest in age and closest in relationship to Jesus. But even James is walking through this, like watching his brother go through this life.
How about that life?
Oh my goodness.
Come on. Like, yeah. That'd been tough.
If you're the kid that wasn't the perfect angel, but your sibling was like really good, you don't have any clue.
No. This is
James is like, seriously?
Yeah, seriously? Come on.
Come on, Jesus.
Yeah.
Can you cut me some slack?
Yeah. So we don't honestly probably put enough in his writings, really,
And James's book is written to the 12 tribes that are scattered everywhere.
Yeah.
They're trying not to get murdered. They're trying not to get martyred.
Running for their lives.
I mean, they had not long before that seen Stephen. Literally. I mean, and Stephen was an example of what you should be looking like in your walk,
right?
As much as anybody we read about in Scripture, and Stephen's still very fresh in James's mind. So there's all that, and so you got this mindset of like, I think we discount what he's seen, what he witnessed, what he knew, and yet he stands up to be a leader in the church.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because he's called to it, and he knows what he knows.
Yeah,
I mean, he didn't run and hide. He stood strong, faithful, and firm in a place that he could have died in a heartbeat. For one, being Jesus' half brother.
Yeah,
and then for another, you're going to lead one of these Christian churches,
right?
Man, I think we discount James when we think about what religion is and relationship with Jesus.
Right. Yeah, because like you said, he was a leader of the church. He was a pastor of a church for I mean I like what it says there, what he's talking about here. It's so important because we can all do the things he's saying, we can all fall into this, thinking the bridle your tongue and, it turns all that into worthless. And James, he's very, what I love about him as a pastor, the way his writings are, he's pretty blunt.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he's pretty blunt and just to the point. Like, I'm not going to beat around the bush. Here's
but can you imagine? I think that's probably, I think that's got to be from being around Jesus his entire life.
Yeah.
He's seen the truth. There had to be times in his life he was thinking, what in the world
Right. Oh,
what's different?
Yes.
Why is my brother like this when nobody else? Because I don't know what he knew. I don't know if he understood. Clearly, Mary and Joseph did.
Yeah.
Clearly, Jesus had an understanding. He was the son of
Right.
God.
Yeah.
He knew. But I don't know that James fully would have understood all that growing up, other than the fact that there's something very different about my brother.
Yeah. And I'm sure that it would take a while for it all to sink in. And it might have been, I mean, honestly, it might even been post-cross before it really, really sunk in. Like, okay.
Well, you think resurrection, you're like, whoa, all that I saw made sense, but now this.
Yeah. So, it's hard for us to even imagine that in our lives, and for him to walk through it and be a leader in the church, it makes sense. But like you said, we don't really talk about him that much.
No.
Honestly, we go to maybe Matthew, Mark, we go to the Pauline epistles,
Yeah.
more so when we start talking about the church.
Yes.
Probably the Pauline epistles the most when we start talking about the church.
Yeah.
When he was clearly a church leader.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think just the more I think about James, I'm like, that was James's mother sitting there watching his half brother die.
Yep.
I mean, there's just so many things that we don't think about. James was a perspective on this. But when I looked at verse 27 this week, this is the verse that really, really opened up my eyes to rethinking some stuff. It says pure and undefiled religion, which means to me that religion is a purpose and there's a point to it. In the sight of God our Father is this: visit the orphans and the widows in their distress, and to keep oneself unstained by the world. So if we ever needed a thought process in our mind to be like, what should I do with my life? Literally, it tells us right here.
Yeah.
But how often do we do these things?
Right. That, I mean, like you say, it's a beautiful statement, really, when you just look right at it. What is the pure religion in the sight of our God? And, look at the first few things. Like you said, he hits visit the orphans and the widows in distress. Probably the church has dropped the ball on that for a long, long time now.
Yeah.
I think starting out, they were pretty decent at it.
Yeah, well, they had to, or they would have died.
Yeah.
Or orphans and widows would have been dead.
Yeah. And
now we can put them in a home, send money over, and and all will be okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's the heartbreaking side for the orphans and the widows. And at Renovation, we're trying to refocus ourselves to this. We have ministries in one nursing home right now, which is a beautiful thing. We've seen multiple salvations there. We're starting to push toward that. We have a liaison in our church that spends time with a children's home in our area, and we're trying to do more and more with them.
Yep.
But
I got to see them Sunday at church, so
that's awesome.
Yeah, the children's home,
which is fantastic. I mean, to me, I'm like, this is the focus. And if you want, we're always looking like, what do we got to do to be walking the blessings of God? He literally tells us right here. And it's not tremendous amount of things, but it's very specific things. So the orphans, the widows, and then this third one is very tough.
Yes.
Because it's easy to take care of orphans and take care of widows in their distress if we really wanted to.
Right.
But this other one's going to take work every single day, all the time.
Yeah, you could put that word in there, like keep your oneself to a sanctified life.
Yeah. Because we see unstained.
Trying to,
we see unstained and we're like, oh my goodness, what does unstained mean?
How am I going to be unstained by this world? Well, honestly, the only way you can be unstained, because the world is around us. We're going to live in it.
Absolutely.
The Bible's clear. We still have to be part of it, but we got to be set apart from it. To me, it's that, it's setting yourself apart and the best we can. And once again, it's that sanctified life, like the living, and it goes back to where I was at. Look what, he said is giving to the poor, prayer, and fasting.
Yeah.
You want to keep yourself from the world, you do those things for the right reasons. Yeah. And you will stay unstained from the world. If you stay in the Word, if you stay in prayer, if you will add fasting after I studied it to your life,
100%.
It could change. It could keep you unstained from the world, because that's a huge statement right there.
It is. And when I think about fasting, I I really enjoy fasting. I've done, and I'm not anything I'm about to say that I'm not doing it in a bragging way. I want you to know the blessings I've gotten out of it.
Right.
So I've done fasting for one meal a day, and turned it into a Bible study time and a prayer time, and felt complete grace in that. And then I've also had moments where I've done a 7-day fast, and after about day 3 or 4, it's weird. You're not hungry at all.
You get past that.
But actually, what's really amazing is you have this sense of sharpness in your mind, and you're like, I can read faster, I can think clearer. It's hard to explain, because it's focused on Christ, and you're more and more. Which is to me, it's the biggest blessing, and it's one of those things like you want to tell the world, but at the same time, you're like,
But then you run into exactly what he said not to do. So,
I want to keep this to me because this is for me and God. This is for me and him to spend time together. But I want to encourage you, like, the fasting is huge. And once you start fasting on a regular basis in different ways, and I'm just going to be completely real with you and my thoughts. When I'm talking fasting biblically, I'm talking food.
Well, we went over that. Yeah, and I say we've, I don't mean, I just kind of say it as a general statement. The church today has turned into a material fast where it used to be a spiritual fast. And biblical fasts were always food.
Yes, because you're taking away what you have to have to what you need.
Yeah, and I've had the argument, well, they didn't have the material stuff. Yes, they did. They had stuff to take their time up. It was just different stuff. So in biblical fasting, it was always food. I did learn that for sure.
100%. And now what I will say is you can certainly fast from other things.
Oh yeah.
But
fill it with the word or prayer. Yeah.
But aside from itself, fasting in the biblical mindset is food. And you can. I encourage you take a fast from these. I was so excited the other day, and I was actually stressed out for a little bit because.
You said you left it at home.
I left it at home, and
here's that Sunday.
I don't remember what day it was.
I was at church with you, but that doesn't mean.
But I was away from it for hours and hours and hours and hours, and I haven't been that in a long time.
Nicaragua had nothing,
and by the end of the day, I was like, "This is so nice."
Yeah,
I'm like, if there was really truly something that someone would find a way to get a hold of me.
Yeah,
but I'm like, it was actually a massive blessing just to. Not have it.
Just get unplugged for a little bit.
Because what happens if we get a moment of being bored?
Oh yeah.
Let me scroll.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't have that option, so I did. I talked to people more. That maybe I would have just said, I'm just going to go sit in my office or go do this or go do that. And I found myself, just relaxed.
Yeah.
It was extremely nice.
Yeah. And it's once again another great way to stay unstained by the world.
Yeah.
You're like me, social media. You can get stuff thrown right in your face within seconds. Oh, that is hard to get out of your mind.
Yes.
Or, any kind of social platform, you're going to get that kind of stuff. And once again, a great way to stay unstained from the world or set apart is to definitely give that stuff up. The great thing would be always, but is that going to happen?
Right.
Probably not very
Probably
often.
Not.
But even if it's for a time period, it's great. It would be a great thing.
Well, so I in my mind, I'm thinking through right now. I'm trying to figure out a day a week, which will probably end up being Friday because that's the day off that I take a day off one day a week. And so I think on Fridays I'm going to try to at least put a 5 to 6 hour time frame that I don't have any assignment on me. It's at home in the house, or whatever. If someone needs me, they'll know where to find me.
Right.
I'm probably mowing my yard. That's what I do to relax.
I like to mow the yard too. I get it.
Just something about going in circles with no thought process.
Yeah. Tara's like, you want me to mow? I'm like, nope, I really don't. I want to do it. So,
but if you want to weed eat,
well, as you can see, nobody weed eats. So,
oh goodness.
But no, honestly, I hadn't got to watch your message yet, but I looked at it beforehand, your scripture and stuff, and. It is crazy how religion gets a bad name today, even still. But it's really the basis of all this. It really is.
It is, and I think it's because we think of like Islam and we think of things like that, where it's like, oh man, it's like just
Buddha,
diabolical,
Buddhist, or because all of them will fall under religion.
Yeah.
But I love what it says there. The pure and undefiled religion is the orphans, the widows, and then keeping yourself unstained. That's a powerful little statement in 27.
Yeah. I had to sit on that for a while this week, just thinking about that, and then honestly had to come to some terms with some stuff in my own life. Well, I don't know if you guys know this, whenever we're studying for sermons, I know Pastor Tucker and Pastor Ken do the same thing. You guys may get beat up when we're preaching it to you, but we're getting hammered in our study time.
Honestly, Sundays was one of the worst I've had in a long time.
Right?
But yeah, absolutely. When I got walked down Sunday, I had a gentleman from Norwood. He's like, "Man, you hammered me today." I'm like, "Dude, I've been hammering myself all week getting ready for this sermon because."
If they knew,
man, I said, I know.
Think about that, like 16 to 20 hours this week.
Yeah.
I put in, beating myself up. Every time I was like, oh, goodness.
Yeah.
But you know what, though? I think that's one of the blessings as a pastor is all the stuff that we study and on the front side that we don't even ever get a chance to even touch in a sermon that helps mold and change us, that I hope that when somebody hears the message, they want to go study it for themselves to hear that and see that.
Right.
Because there's so much more for you than just what you read on a Sunday morning with the pastor.
Yeah, we can't get it all out there. I mean, there's no way. But yeah, just diving in deeper in those, studying for them, it's just amazing what you learn and what hits you in the moment. Yeah. And like I said, sometimes it comes out in the sermon, sometimes it doesn't.
No, I mean, sometimes it was just for you for that time, and maybe it'd be down the road, but it's just for your knowledge.
I have that happen quite frequently. That's just for me.
And it's a blessing. I mean, to learn and grow always. As I was walking through this, because I went from James 1, 26, 27, then over to James 2, 14 through 17, 14 through 17. And the more I think about, like, your message when you're talking about fasting, and the more I've fasted in my life, the more humble I become. And if and let that be a gauge for you, because if you're fasting, you're not finding yourself in a humble spot. You still got ego. You still got those big struggles all the time. Might need to reassess your fasting.
Yeah.
Because I found that, like, fasting truly does bring you to this religious place with Christ that is so peaceful, but it's also such an awakening of, I need to not desire what's outside.
All right.
He gives me everything I need. And I need to count a blessing every time I get anything above that. And when you start to do that in your fasting time, you start to read scriptures like James 2:14, where it says, he's saying, what use is it, my brother, and if someone says he has faith, but he has no works, can faith save him? But then it goes on to say, if a brother or sister is without clothing and in need of food daily, and one of you says to him, go in peace and be warmed and be filled, and yet give him nothing, what is it necessary for their body? What use is it? Even so faith, if it has no works, is dead, being of itself. And so what I'm coming at with this is, in my fasting time, it's kind of brought me to this. I love how God always molds things together, because I have a better understanding of walking with Jesus in these things and realizing if I see someone that needs food, it's not about, well, someone should help them.
Right.
It's more now about, how can I help them?
Right. What can I do to help?
But I would have never been there if I didn't allow myself to go into those times of fasting, to go into those times of becoming humble and realizing that I am here. God is up here.
Yep.
We walk around in America and we're like, we're up here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We put ourselves up on a pedestal.
Yeah.
But, this talks about a lot, faith without works. And, to me, we could never, ever... We will never know somebody's true walk with the Lord, whether they're saved or not.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't, but the Bible's very clear that we can be fruit inspectors.
Oh, absolutely.
And you can see people's fruits, and you're like, man, I see Jesus all over them.
Yeah.
And to me, that works. Like, if you're truly saved, you're going to want to do these things the best you can. Some people are not armed for it as well as others, like maybe not as, you won't see it publicly, but they may do it privately all the time.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what we're supposed to do. But, I think back like this, like you were talking about fasting, but another way, I think back when we were spending a lot of time with the homeless, to me, it humbled me so much just visiting with them. And we dropped the gospel quite frequently with them, but a lot of times we were just treating them like human beings. Right. And visiting with them.
Getting to know their name.
Right. And so to me, back then, when we was doing a lot of that, when I was on the streets with them a lot, to me, that was that faith in works. I could easily just sent my money with Sean and bought him socks, said, here, go do this. And that's great.
And some people did that.
Yeah, and
not
absolutely.
that they're wrong in that,
but for me, getting out there, to me, it was just so of a humbling experience just to visit with people, see why they were there, and then hopefully just look for that gap where you can work the gospel in there.
Right.
But, to me, just it's hard for me to see somebody that says that they are a believer in Jesus Christ and then you never see any kind of works at all.
Yeah.
Like that, for lack of a better word, it's like they got, I think, what the Baptists would call their fire insurance. And then there's nothing.
Right.
There's no changes. There's no, and so.
No evidence.
No evidence of the faith. And to me, the works is the evidence of the faith.
100%.
And the fruit, the way your life has changed, all those things are the evidence of the faith. And it's a very important part.
And kind of in that token, we've kind of had to address some stuff with ourselves. You and I specifically, on how we handle things with the church, because in the beginning we all wanted to let everybody know what we were doing, just so that people could be a part
to get rolling.
Yeah. And so just like we would do a blessing blitz, or we would do with the homeless stuff, and we would do these things, and we would go out there and would video, and afterwards you and I would be talking like.
Sometimes we only showed it at our church.
Right.
A few times we showed it publicly,
right.
but not very often, because we were both like, no,
it doesn't feel right.
No,
I don't. And the job, the work was good, but if we go out there and just broadcast, hey, look what we did,
exactly,
who's it about then?
Mm-hmm.
And that was one thing that we just really wanted to make sure, and still to this day, that we're not in that place.
Yeah, we've done blessing blitzes, and just our church knows about it.
Yep.
And the people obviously getting blessed, and we've done some private ones here recently. We've done some private blessings from the church, and
which we should do as a church. We should be doing that, and the church should be doing that for the church.
Yeah,
but also outside. It's weird. I had a phone call today with a guy that we go to church with, and we were talking about. He's in the process of writing a book. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
and he was trying to decipher, like, where did the church go wrong? He's trying to look at it, and he's like, how do we get them to go outside to do stuff?
Yeah.
And it really boils down to, we stop doing stuff inside the church.
Right.
And if the church isn't going to help the church will never help the outside the church.
That's the truth. Yeah.
Because if the church only helps outside the church, then they're probably doing it for their own glory.
Yeah.
But if the church helps the church, then they're going to want to go outside and help the church together, because they're humbled, they're filled, they're ready to roll.
And for lack of a better word, it's addicting.
Yes.
You go, if you've ever been a part of a blessing blitz, you literally want to get in the car and go somewhere else and try to find somebody else to do it.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's really cool to be able to give that, and not for the show, but it's really cool to see that,
to know that you're changing someone's life, at least in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where, you come down to it, like verse 15 says, if you see a brother or sister without clothing or without food, and how many people do we see that are starving? Mm-hmm. And nobody should starve in our country.
No.
I'm like, we throw away so much food as a country. You can take each town, how much food's thrown away.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that have been on my mind, and just especially since we're getting ready to roll up into this new time right now of our government closing down still.
Yeah. So the money's gone.
They're they're not doing SNAP, at least right now in November. Right. Things could change if they would come to the table together. That could change. But right now you're like, okay, so there's going to be people that don't have food.
Yeah.
That are in
our town.
In our town. Yeah. In towns around us.
Yeah.
And so my challenge to you is, let's not beat them up because they get government assistance. Listen, there's a season for things, and if someone's in that season, then it's not good to beat them up. Let's try to help them and get them to the right place.
Yeah. And
some people just can't. I know some elderly women that raise their grandchildren.
Yeah.
And that's how they get it. That's assistance. And you know what? I'm more than glad for my tax dollars to go to someone like that.
Them. Yep.
They've worked hard. They've raised their own kids, and by golly, for whatever reason, their kids aren't raising their kids. So
happens a lot.
We can either sit back and insult them, or we can step up and show the love of Christ. And I think that's going to be. Listen, we're going to have an opportunity.
Yeah, real soon
as a church to really love on our communities the way they need to be loved on, without holding it over their heads. And that is coming fast.
Yeah.
And we're talking about coming into Thanksgiving season, when
Christmas time, we're coming into the holidays. Yeah.
And
cold weather. They're not, I mean, honestly, you take this everywhere. Talked about today at work. The government assistance for electrical to help pay electric bills is gone. So there's going to be a lot of need here lately. There's a high percentage in Wright County that gets help on their utilities.
Right. And so now they're going to be making a decision. Gas, food, utilities.
Yeah.
I mean, really, that's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
And the car payments, it's just like, let's hope they don't repo the car.
Yeah.
Let's hope they don't kick us out of our house, because it boils down to we need this stuff to live each day.
Yeah.
And that's where us as the church need to look at this scripture and say, okay, if we know someone needs help, let's get them some food. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying you have to give them a 7-course steak dinner.
Exactly.
But my goodness, a casserole goes somewhere.
Yep,
I mean,
some food.
Invite them over for dinner with you,
yep.
and just break bread together.
Yeah.
Let them be loved on with no expectation, and that's what will change your life. And then when you go to your fasting time, now you have some names to lift up to the Lord. Lord, help me to be a blessing to them. Because what if we did that and then the body started to grow?
Yeah. Yeah. It would be huge. And once again, it goes back to where my sermon started, when Jesus was saying, do these things for the right reason.
Right.
Don't be snapping pictures to put on social media that you fed a local family.
Right.
Because you see it all the time. And sometimes I don't think people even think about, I shouldn't, you know what I'm saying? Yes. I don't think they intentionally do it, but it comes off that way. So, Jesus, when I was studying for the fasting, how he starts out in Matthew 6, it says whenever you fast. So not that you might or you should, or it's something we are supposed to do.
Yeah.
Because this is what he's doing here is it's the Sermon on the Mount. Towards the end, he's laying out three spiritual disciplines there. And Tucker went over the other two, but the first one was giving to the poor, which we just talked about in Pastor D's sermon. The second one is prayer. And then the third one was fasting. And so it's these spiritual doctrines that Jesus was laying out. And the first thing he says it's Matthew 6:16, whenever you fast, do not put on a gloomy face as the hypocrites do and neglect their appearances, so that they'll be noticed by men. They have the reward in full. So you got to and what I said here is, what Jesus is saying is check while you're doing what you're doing.
Right.
If you are doing it just for a show, yes, it's still good to feed people and all that, but really what's important is to do it in secret or do it in private for that reward.
And with the right heart.
Yeah, with the right heart. Because that's what he's saying. And, he's talking about fasting here, but, we talked about it. He's talked about it in prayer. Don't do it as they did on the corner, for everybody to see. And so all these things we were taught to do for the right reasons. And that's going to be the same way with helping people. But, fasting, I learned a lot. And like I said, I'm not good at it. And you can't go watch the sermon. I told them not to tell you, but I guess I'll tell you. I bragged on you quite a bit.
Uh-oh.
So
there's no evidence of it, though.
There is no evidence of this. But I did, when we was talking about fasting, which you've talked about, that you do fasting quite a bit, I told them that you were probably the best I knew at this. And I said, what's cool is nobody knows it, therefore he does it for the right reasons.
Right.
And I was just using you as an example because it was a good example to use. If you do fasting right, for the most part, people's not going to know.
Right.
And that's what Jesus is saying here. Do it for the right reasons. Do it not so you be noticed by men, but so the Father in secret will see you. And so, I ran across 6 reasons biblically to fast when I was studying. The first one was to repent. It talks about it in Nehemiah. They fasted, the whole Israel was fasting for repentance. And I talked about, if there's something in your life you're having struggles getting rid of or repenting, you feel like you've asked for forgiveness, but you're not getting it, add fasting.
Yeah.
The second one is mourn and grieve. Esther 4:3, that talks about it in Esther. They were mourning and grieving over a situation. I also talked about David. If you remember when his son was dying, he was fasting and begging God. And like I said, and guess what? The son still passed.
Yeah.
In the story. Another reason was to intercede for others. Huge reason to fast. Interceding for others. To break chains of bondage was covered in Isaiah 58:6. Once again, struggling with chains of bondage, add fasting. If prayer 100%. Ain't getting it, add fasting. To petition God to seek answers, and Ezra, it talks about it. Once again, that's kind of David with his son. He was seeking answers for his son. And to appoint leaders in Acts 23, before they appoint leaders of the church and leaders of this, they would always fast. And I made a pretty good joke. I said we should have fasted harder before we put Tucker at Norwood, but
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Did he laugh?
A little bit.
He's like,
his congregation laughed a little harder.
That's funny.
But no, that's just a few biblical reasons to fast. But like I said, Jesus says when you fast.
Yeah.
It's something we should be doing for these reasons. And we all, just those reasons I said, we all have those.
Oh, 100. And groves. I mean, they come in and out of our lives.
All the time. And I've talked about it Sunday. I was just honest with the people. I'm like, how many times have we been there? I had them raise their hand. How many times have you prayed and prayed and prayed for a situation and you felt like there was no answer? Because everybody in the room could probably hold their hand up. And I'm like, did you ever add fasting? That's what they did in the Bible. That's what we're told to do.
Yeah.
I'm like, is that going to move the hand of God? Maybe. Maybe not.
But
David's son still died.
Absolutely.
But there's other stories where it did move the hand of God. It brought his attention to the situation. So, fasting is something we need to add to our daily disciplines. Really, not daily, but our disciplines for sure.
And and it's going to be different for every person. I personally, whenever I fast, I'm not opposed to fasting for one meal.
Yeah.
But I feel more dedicated to it personally whenever I do it for at least a day.
Yeah.
Like I like for that to be my minimum, because for me, my eating pattern's not normal anyway. I don't eat breakfast very often.
Yeah,
I don't always eat lunch. Sometimes I'll eat lunch or I'll eat dinner.
I always eat lunch and dinner, but I don't eat breakfast.
So for me, I'm like, since that's so weird sometimes, for me, I would rather be like dedicated to the full day, and that way I can say, you know what, I may or may not eat breakfast, but I'm going to put in a breakfast time of prayer. Yeah. And I may or may not eat lunch, but I'm going to put in that time. And
you're hitting the nail on the head there. That's the important part. The fasting is the first part, but it's what you are putting in place of it.
Yes,
is what is so huge. And biblically, there was partial fast, there was full fast. A lot of times they would fast. Studying this, they would have a day fast, but at night they could still eat.
Right.
And I know when you're saying a day, you're talking a full 24 hours, which I totally understand. And, they would have, in Esther, I know when she was going in front of the king, she had asked everybody to fast for like 3 days, getting ready for it. And I mean,
because what does it look like if the body does it together?
And so, and she's like, if he kills me, he kills me, basically what she says, but she's begging them all to fast with her. And, we've been a part of a church that does a fast together, and I don't think there's nothing wrong with it. But once again, you got to check why you're doing it.
Yes. And I'm torn a little bit on how some of it went down.
Me too.
Because we use social media for it, and I wasn't a fan of that part. It didn't bother me at the moment until I studied later on my own. I'm like,
that's the way
I wish we would have kept it indoors.
Yeah.
I wish it would have been for the body.
Yeah, because you're getting right there to what he said. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
So I come across, and you probably know this, but maybe our listeners don't. Let me find it here. So there in 16, Jesus is saying, do not put on the gloomy face as the hypocrites do, so you'll be noticed by men. So in Jesus' day on earth, Monday and Tuesdays was the shopping days. That was the day when the town was bustling every week. So they said that all the vendors would come in from the countryside to set up all their little booths.
All gathered up.
Would come in, and every Tuesday and Thursday was like Black Friday, basically. The whole town would be full. And Tuesdays and Thursdays was when the Pharisees would fast. Yeah. So they literally picked 2 busy days so everybody would see them.
Right.
And they would, when it says there, don't put on a gloomy face, it says they'd actually take powder, powder their faces so they would look sicklier. And they would also wear dirty clothes. And they would do everything in their power to make people think, oh, look how spiritual I am.
Right.
And that's what Jesus is saying here.
Avoid that.
Yeah. And so they would literally do it on the 2 busiest days of the week. So everybody would see them and think, ooh, look how spiritual they are.
Yeah. And so he's saying do the opposite.
Yeah. He's saying do not do it that way.
Anoint yourself with the oil, then wash your face.
Yes. And wash the powder off your face.
Clean up yourself.
But no, I thought that was, kind of, and we could say, we see that on social media, well, we got to put it out there for everybody to see. And maybe some people's motives are wrong. Maybe they are like this. They want to be seen. Because, clearly, we're not any different. They were just men. And we are still men, and we're all built the same. So there's still people that do those things for show.
Yes,
they want it to be seen,
and it's not understood in everything. Because like I'll give like for example, like there's times when I'm depending on what I'm doing. I'm obviously great at exercise and working out.
Yeah, heck, me too.
But I do like when I do work out.
How many times have you been to the community center to use your thing since you bought it?
Well, there's seasons.
So okay, let's talk about me. I bought my what is it called? My
key fob thing.
No, I don't even have the key fob, but my original membership when that place opened.
Oh, gotcha.
I have never once lifted a weight in that place.
Oh, I've lifted weights.
You know how long it's been open? A
long time. I actually have a key fob that opens up 24 hours. They have that nowadays.
Oh, I know.
Not that you need it. But
anyways, where were you going with that?
Anyway, I was going to say, because, there are seasons where I'll go through and I want to work out.
Yeah.
And I'll do what's called intermittent fasting. And it's not biblical.
Yeah, right. It's health.
It's for health.
Yeah.
And so I'll do that. But if I talk about intermittent fasting with somebody, or if I'm talking about biblical fasting, if I'm not real clear with people, there are people that do intermittent fasting that do not know anything about Jesus.
All right.
And so if I'm trying to explain to them that, and then they try to make sense of that with the word, they're going to be very confused. So for me, biblical fasting is a very secret thing, a very private thing.
Well, I told them Sunday, I said, I'll give you guys 3 guesses in this room to tell me the last time I fasted. I said, look how old I am. When do you think I fasted last? And I heard somebody say it, you're physical. Yep, I fasted so they could take blood.
Yep.
And I said, I'm just being honest with you guys. I'm terrible at this. I'm going to do better. But I'm like, that's the last. I did it for health because I had to for a test. But yeah, a lot of people, and there's nothing wrong with that, intermittent fasting, because it's healthy for your body.
Yeah, I mean, we actually eat too many meals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially in America. 3 meals a day, and all the food chart was all made by companies. So that's a whole nother thing here and there.
That's a whole different podcast. That's on the conspiracy podcast. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll go away from there because we get real dangerous. But when I'm looking at this, I'm like, we've got to. I'm not opposed to the church fasting together. As a matter of fact, I think community fasting has a purpose.
Yeah, Israel was called to fast together multiple times.
Yes,
I covered a lot of those. Yeah,
but like you said, it needs to, even at that point, it needs to be private. That's for the church body.
Yeah,
not everything's for the world. That's for the church body to grow in, to find humbleness in, to walk in. But I don't think that can be a thing until you are learning how to do this personal and private on your own.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this: if you do it, and there are, you got to be healthy for yourself. Don't do things that aren't healthy for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I share with you how long I've done them before. 7 days is the longest fast I've ever done. But I felt fantastic.
Right.
Now I will tell you, I had a Chinese buffet
right afterwards.
After one of them, it was I wanted to go to heaven. Just right then, like, bring me on home. Huh? Yeah, ease yourself back in.
Yeah.
But when you're doing those and you're making it private and you're studying and you're praying, people around you will notice a difference.
Yeah, and that's what I said about you. I'm like, I said, Dustin, we'll fast for maybe a service or somebody in the church or a situation in the church, and nobody knows about it. But once again, that's what we're called to do.
Yeah,
and it does change. It does change. I have fasted. I mean, I fasted. I talked about for a young lady at church 2 days to go pray over her.
Yeah.
And me and Tucker has fasted once for sure that I can think of before we went into an intense situation in a home. So I've done that, and you're right. You're more clear. The words seem like I don't know. The prayers seem different.
It feels like it's direct.
It does.
And we don't say, and I want you to understand, this is all humbleness we're trying to talk to, but we have to share it so you understand it. And because you may have never even thought about this before. Now, I don't like to talk about fasting a lot because I don't like my own personal, because I like you to read this, understand what it means, and you spend time with the Lord in the way that it works with you and Him.
And I was told twice I need to preach this at our church, and maybe we do. I mean, I don't know. I've got it all laid out. Maybe I will preach it. So maybe
I don't think we've preached on fasting in a long time.
Maybe the Lord will say, hey, you need to preach that at the Mansfield campus. But
I think I might have preached on fasting in our last building.
Yeah, maybe. But
but that's been 3 or 4 years now.
But something to think about if you guys have heard about fasting, or when they were most of the times when they were going to fast and stuff, it always said they put on the sackcloth. And just so you guys are aware what sackcloth is, it's camel hide, and they wore it inside out, so the prickly camel hair was basically pushing into their bare skin all the time. And so fasting's going to hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you fast and you do it for multiple days, there is going to be a discomfort because you're waging a war against the flesh.
Yes. You're literally laying that flesh down and saying, I don't need to do what this flesh needs. Because this flesh needs food. This flesh needs nourishment. Yeah. But I need God more than I need this flesh.
Yeah. But that's why, I mean, honestly, I had to get down to the nitty gritty of it at basically closing. I was like, why is fasting so hard?
Right.
And you're waging a war.
Yeah.
You know, you think I put down Galatians 5:16, but I say, walk in the Spirit, and you will not carry out the desires of the flesh. For the flesh sets its desires against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh. For these are opposition to one another, so that you may not do the things that you please.
Yeah.
So once we become believers, we understand that there's this war waged between flesh and spirit.
Yeah.
And if you're going to truly fast, you are killing flesh and you're raising the spirit. You're waging a war.
Yeah.
That's why fasting's hard.
And there's some anger and bitterness from your body to you. I mean, it's hating on you at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, it's mad because you're you're denying what the flesh wants, food. I'm talking biblical fast.
Right.
You're denying what the flesh wants, which is food. And if you're filling it, spirit, with the word, prayer, you're doing exactly what our body or what our flesh doesn't want.
Right.
And so you're waging that war, and that's what makes fasting so hard, but it's also what makes fasting so powerful.
Yeah.
Because you are lifting up the spirit man within yourself, or the spiritual part of you.
Prioritizing what matters.
Once again, say this word a lot. You're sanctifying your life, killing flesh, lifting spirit. Killing flesh, lifting spirit. And to me, that's where I got to, what makes it hard is what do we feed?
Yeah.
We feed our flesh.
Yes. Which I think when we look at it a little deeper, this flesh is meant to die. That's why we get a new body. Because this sinful one will literally have to die. Yep. Even if you happen to be alive, if we happen to be alive when Jesus calls us home,
right?
If we happen to get raptured,
we're alive, if we're the ones,
in the transformation,
the flesh will die.
This flesh is dead. It's not going to get to be what hangs out with me.
It's glorified.
It's glorified.
It disappears. Yeah, yes. Exactly. It changes.
And, we joke about, we're going to have six-pack abs or anything. Who knows what we'll have. But what I do know is it is going to be glorified and perfect. So we might be real surprised what perfect looks like.
Yeah, we may be.
But what I do know is that this is sinful and desires sin.
Well, in all honesty, I think I had this earlier. I think I said it on Sunday. You never know what you say, for sure, when you're up there.
Right.
But we're still so fleshly. I mean, our flesh is still so basically just dirty that we want people to think we're more spiritual than we even are.
Right.
As a person, I mean, I'll be honest. As me, I want people to think I'm more spiritual than I probably even am.
Yeah.
Because our flesh is still so, it's hard.
We desire a perception.
Absolutely. That's what makes fasting hard. We feed the flesh all the time, and how often do we feed the spiritual side?
Yeah.
And that's what makes it hard. Because we want people to think we're more spiritual, and we're all trying to be better all the time, which is all we can do, but we're still going to battle. Paul's pretty clear. We're still going to battle that flesh.
Yeah. Which I closed out with Ephesians 2:8-9. For by grace you have been saved through faith.
Absolutely.
And that not of yourselves, it is a gift of God, not as a result of your works, so that no one may boast. And I think for me that's key. Boast. What are you boasting in?
Yep.
So I can attest to the fact that if you truly fast, you will be humbled. There will be humility in your life, and you will start to learn to boast in the Lord and not in yourself. But if you don't find those as a result of your fasting time, then I would venture to say, is your fasting time about you or is it about God?
Right, because it's easy, to when you start fasting, when you start waging that war, to either give in or get mad. I usually get mad,
or boast on how great you're doing,
or the other. Yeah.
To
stay in the middle and humble, like Jesus says to do, is hard.
Yes,
it really is. But I will agree. The few times I've done it, I'll say few. I mean, I don't even know how many times it is, but the times I have done it have been some of them. Like I said, the words seem clear, prayer seemed different. Both times when I did it for other people, I was able to see God work in those situations.
Yeah.
Was it because a couple of us were fasting? I don't know. You can't answer that.
No, but I can say that didn't hurt.
Exactly.
We know that.
Exactly, yeah.
If we went in with the right mindset,
Yeah.
that didn't hurt at all.
So, but it goes back to the very first word, whenever you fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for me, when I look at fasting and all these things, we go back to the fact that should be the evidence of our religion with Jesus. Because you have a religion with something, no matter what.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Too many of us have a religion with this world.
Yep. World and flesh, which is the world.
Yeah. And so we let our religion be whatever's fun and comfortable. And if you don't suffer a little bit, then I would challenge you that, are you doing it real?
Right. That's what I mean. That's why I said, they always said they wore sackcloth, and it caused irritation and stuff. And if we do things right, we're going to have that. Joel was talking about kind of once again, another nice little closing point, but he said in Joel 2:12, he's talking about that they return to me with fasting and weeping.
Yeah.
And it says, rend your heart, not your garments. And that's the thing. Fasting, it should be rending in here. It shouldn't be out here for show.
Right.
It shouldn't be, they tore their garments when they were in distress. That's what they did. So everybody could see they're sorrowful. And he's saying, I'd rather you rip your heart wide open by fasting for somebody than you ripping your garments, acting like you care.
Yes.
And so it's an inward thing. It really is.
And honestly, if we make it personal, that's when we start to see things.
Yeah.
If you are really brokenhearted for somebody, go tell them.
Go
pray for
them, and then try to add fasting. See
fasting.
what happens.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If you do it with the right heart, I can attest to this, and I believe because of this, you can know this, that it won't go unnoticed in God's eyes. And I want things to be noticed by God.
No,
everything is, but I want it to be noticed for good.
If you go and study fasting in the Bible, there's a lot you can study. I think there's 67.
There's a lot.
Yeah, I had a note there. But what the thing is many times it did move the hand of God, because the people did what they were supposed to do and fasted, or a person did what they were supposed to do. Now, sometimes it didn't. So it's not if you fast, it's not a genie in a bottle type of deal. But
that's how he works in blessings sometimes.
Yeah, multiple times in the Bible, his hand was moved. He did the unthinkable because people were fasting for them. So it's a powerful tool, I think, that's been kind of lost.
100%. I think sometimes people get discouraged, though, because they're like, I fasted and someone died.
Yeah.
But you got to remember this. Sometimes what happened was a bigger blessing than you'll ever realize until you're in heaven yourself.
Yeah.
Because maybe that person passing was them getting to go to heaven and be done with this world.
Exactly. That's our true healing. We don't want to talk about it. That's the only time, because once we're in a dying body, that's the only time we'll truly be healed is when we're glorified, whether it's your personal rapture or the rapture.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know, I think it's a powerful tool to add.
So I would encourage you. First of all, I love the Book of James.
Yeah.
And I'm in it. Been in it for a little bit now. I'm got new eyes for it.
Yeah.
And actually, I have a newfound love and respect for James in a different view. I used to read him just because it was James.
Right.
But now I'm trying to put him into a human.
Yeah.
I'm like, he was just a human like me and you, and he witnessed and seen and saw, and he still wrote with such courage. What could have gotten him killed.
Yeah. And yet his half-brother was the Son of God. And he had to grow up with that.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Pretty amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a good book.
So so I encourage you. I encourage you, insert fasting into your life.
Yeah, give it a try.
I would challenge you to do it for a day. If you as you get more courageous in that, I mean, longer term is good. Don't go too crazy, because God does give us wisdom and discernment to not don't do it till you die. No. I mean, clearly that's not his goal. No. His goal is for you to draw in close to him, depend on him, and to deepen your relationship with him.
Yeah. Yep, but I think it's a powerful tool that's been lost. I know I learned a lot studying for it. And like I said, I may preach it at Mansfield campus, because I do think it's something that's been lost.
Yeah.
And, if the Lord leads me that way, you guys may hear it. I won't tell you when. That way you can't miss it.
You won't know how to preach it the same way anyway, so it'll be...
So we'll end on a funny note. The only thing that had been better is if I would have been preaching this sermon next Sunday at Norwood because they're having a potluck.
That would have been fantastic.
And I would have preached it. We would have set all the food, and I made them just look at it, and we would have prayed the whole time, and then everybody go home.
Everybody go home and take your full pot with you.
Yep.
That would have been fantastic.
Been pretty good. So.
You'd never been invited back.
Oh, no. I'd be down at Norwood.
Well, we're thankful that you joined us. We encourage you to pray, fast, lean into the Word. That's what we have.
Absolutely.
God gave us those tools for a reason. Other than that, keep praying, and we love you guys. See you soon.
See you next week.
God is always at work in you, restoring, renewing, and rebuilding. Thanks for listening to Renovation Conversations. Like and share, and we'll see you next time.